Okay, everyone, and welcome to the Portfolio Master Challenge wrap up and our play by play. How we are going to just go through the end of the challenge. We're going to take a look at the winners. We're going to see what everyone is doing, see who's going to take the $2,400 Amazon gift card. And man, if you guys have been watching with us all day, you'll notice that things have been wild. We've had leaders blow up. We've had guys come from nowhere to take the lead. It's been absolutely wild. I think we have my co-host Steve back, so I'm going to click this button right here, and you should be good to go. Why don't you give a little test there, Steve? I heard you for a second. There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
So as I was saying, Michael, I've got contractors in the house, and they decided to do the flooring right next to my router.
Oh,
And
that's
I had to
good.
walk over and let him know kindly, please don't finish this part of the flooring for another hour. So
So me and Steve were chatting a little bit before we were getting started here, and man, what a wild contest it's been. We had a clear winner, I think, almost from right out the gate with Mohammed. If you've been watching the end of day wrap up videos, was just killing it. Was up, almost 100% gain. Looks like he may have got caught in something. We'll go into the trades, but look, he might have got caught in something, not even showing up on the top 10 anymore. So it is still
part was that he
anyone's
was
game with
following.
an hour to go.
The best part, sorry to step on you, he was following all the rules, and he was trading multiple different stocks coming into today. He was
Yeah.
a clear, solid, multi-portfolio, contestant.
Yeah, everything was working well, and if you're gonna make 100%, I guess in 2 days, we shouldn't be shocked if you can lose 100% in a day. I have noticed that he's just popped back up on the leaderboard, so we're gonna get into that. But I'm actually just going to explain to the people real briefly, in case you're stumbling across this, you don't know what we're doing over here at Trade Ideas. We are doing monthly now portfolio challenges where you get access to our software, you get access to the ability to just chat or the ability to look at our software, see what's going on in the market, take simulated trades as a good way to get yourself started with trading, or, which I've noticed interviewing a lot of the winners for this, experiment with a new strategy. Maybe you have something that works right now, you want to try something else. So we'll give that a shot and just try to figure out what's going on here, as I see my co-host Steve is still battling a little bit with computer issues. So let's go one more time here, and then we'll get into some charts.
Should be back.
You are back. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's just hop into it here. Let's take a look
Mhm.
at the market, I think, first, which is very interesting. I just wanted to kind of highlight here what we're seeing in the S&P 500, just to again show how great a lot of these traders are doing. With it being a 3-day competition, I've got 3 days worth of price action here on the S&P 500, and we're basically in the middle of where we opened on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's been kind of a washy market back and forth. You've got the 15-minute up there. You include the pre-market and post-market as well. Um, I see, you know, Andy was talking to me about this yesterday, and I thought, we're either going to pull back in price or we're just going to grind sideways. And like Brian Shannon often says, the sideways grind where you consolidate over time is much more bullish and constructive than the consolidation of price in pulling back. Less volatility, but you know, the tight band that we're building here is just going to make for an interesting week next week. But we're not trading next week in the contest.
Yeah, no, if we break one way or the other. Now, what's interesting, and one thing that I thought was very interesting, how we're stuck in rules of this contest are pretty simple, which is, go long with stocks over $1. So there's no shorting. There's no shorting of penny stocks or any crazy stuff like that. And with a market to move absolutely nowhere, and you can see right here on the side, we have our leader up 50%, give or take, with a market doing absolutely nothing, just shows that there's always something going on somewhere if you're someone who's okay with looking for a lot of these high float or high momentum, low float kind of moves, you can see again 50% or 50% gain, $184,000 in 3 days is really nothing to sneeze at.
And I'm just looking at the leaderboard here, and it doesn't look like it's going to be too close unless something changes. The person that's in lead now, Paul, has got 16 total trades. As I click into there, is multiple different names, which is what we were encouraging, and also writing into the rules. We don't want to have somebody just come in and back and forth YOLO, all in, all out on the same stock, back and forth. That's not really the way people trade portfolios. So it's good to see that a nice, well-rounded portfolio is just solidly in the lead after 3 days. 50% return, like you said, not bad.
Yeah, and if I want to go into what was it that Mohammed was playing here, because I seen him pop up while we were chatting onto the leaderboard and then right back down. So I want to chat about that for a little bit. And that was CR
And
CRBP was what he was trading. So this gentleman built all the way up, almost doubled his account in just a day or so. So almost $400,000 gained on his account and put nearly the entire account into this particular stock. I'm just looking around here, around $37. So around this area right here, looking for a momentum chase. Now, we've completely fallen apart there, and that little looking move on this particular name actually turned out to be pretty big when it came, because he not only took his initial account value, but his initial account value plus everything he had made to that point on this particular name. So you may see, depending on what happens to this stock right here, Mohammed pop back onto the leaderboard or back off, because again, he's showing, I believe, a $250,000 loss right now. So almost back to break even on where he started on the week, but still a sizable position. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. If this one turns around at all, we could see a push up here. And I also wanted to look at our friend Tran here, who actually has another sizable position. So, as always, if you don't know, you can go on either the Trade Ideas website or in the downloaded version, and you can see what everybody is doing, and you can see this updated in real time. We have a new 10th place trader popping up here with all in on one position, but we have a $70,000 unrealized gain for Tran here, and that looks like that is our VSN. So RVSN has been very interesting here, pushed up. Let's go to the actually daily chart pretty quickly. Been a runner from $2 up to 10 over the last few days. Tried to break this high from a few days ago and then also yesterday's high, but has been pulling back here as well. So you'll notice that that position is moving around pretty wildly. Was up 70,000 just a tick ago. Now is only up 66,000. So we have some people battling. We have a clear winner. However, right, we've got a couple people with some pretty big positions that might try to take that in the last hour of trading.
full thoughts. Can you go back to the BRBP? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, in terms of buying power, yeah, when Mohammed came into today, a good steamroll of profits that just compound the buying power as you enter new trades. Now, if you want to do me a favor, let's switch to some trading education here, but I need you to clean that chart up because I cannot stand those pre-market and post-market. I want to make a point here.
sure
And
thing.
my point cannot be made with that stuff on there because we need to add a 10 SMA,
All
15.
right.
So I want to show you the way I trade when I discover that momentum is dying, how I use that to exit and when, because that's the most important. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can get a good perspective. Here we go. Perfect. So here's today. You can see right off the bat that first consolidation midday. Where did it find support? At the
Right.
rising 10 SMA.
Yeah.
About an hour, about 45 minutes after it tested it again, touched it again, and it just trampolined and propelled even higher. So then we come into this last area where Michael just drew, and you've got some consolidation. You've got a nice triangle, but it's wedging right there above that 10 SMA. That very first red candle, it's a closing candle. That's the important operative word. The candle has closed. I wait for the 15-minute candle to close, and the very first one that closes below that rising 10 SMA, That's when you realize the momentum's dying and you quietly get up in the theater that's smoking and head for the exit door before everybody else does. And 9 times out of 10, or whatever you want to call it, I'm happy that I did that. And looking back in this case, you can see it's hard to get the wind back in the sails for a trade like that. Everybody's taking profits. There's other issues at hand, but technically speaking, that tells me momentum is dead. So I call that my signal candle. And a signal candle is good because that's when it tells you you're taking a profit and you're paying yourself.
Yeah, and I think for just support and resistance playing, it's also going to be $30. I think if we lose this $30, then that will be the absolute end of it. But I do agree. If you're playing, especially if you're momentum trading, if you're trading these momentum names, we have a little bit of data that only has 4 million shares in the float. This company loses $3 per share each quarter. So this is not a sustainable, awesome move that this company is going to slowly grind higher. It's being traded the way it is because 32 million shares has traded. However, there's only 4 million shares in the float. So, the way I always look at that is that there's a bunch of people in a room surrounding a table, and each of, you're handing something between those people, and each of those people have gotten that thing 10 times. So the entire company has moved around this hypothetical room 10 times. So the entire company has been traded over and over and over and over again. So for me, that makes me think, hey, this is a pure momentum move. And if you're trading a pure momentum move, you have to have a pure momentum out. And I agree with Steve that, you pick your moving average, 10 SMA if that's your jam, and then you just say if we can't hold that, it's time to go. And ever since then, it's just kind of fell precipitously, and that's kind of the end of it. And that actually took, again, Mohammed, which was up, I think when I made the video last night, like $310,000 just completely off the leaderboard. So it just shows that you can be very, very disciplined, but if one time you slip, that's kind of the end of it.
So let's put up with the same chart, EFTR. This is the single stock that the leader, I just noticed he gained another 7,000, I think. He's just kind of handily pulling away. And in this example, you you got to decide, is that a signal candle or not? Now I've been known to like stay in a trade if it was a really really close
Yeah.
difficult candle to try and judge, but in this case it popped back into play. So I mean, there's no rule that's going to be for sure all the time, but more often than not, that particular method works for me if I want to take profits. In this case, he's staying in. He's just kind of padding his lead. We'll see what he does.
Well, and this one's strange because not only most of the things we've seen people trade are low float, crazy high volume, crazy high momentum, but this is one that it will be interesting to see if somebody snuck in to a trade that I've never heard of. Because not only is this one not cranking out a whole lot of volume with only 200,000 shares traded today, it's doing way less than normal volume. I wonder if, and I don't know if you can look at this on your end, Steve, just looking at this chart, is this a buyout or something like this? It was very interesting that he was able to get this kind of seemingly out of nowhere stock. And it's one of the things we do amazing at Trade Ideas is we find these seemingly out of nowhere stocks. But such a massive move and still under the radar, 20% gain today from yesterday's close, but really not something that everybody would see hit, their new high list or anything like that, which is very interesting. So I'm just going to,
It could have been it could have been a reverse stock split. I'm seeing something about that
oh, okay. That makes sense. Those
on the
reverse
ninth.
splits are interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that is an interesting play. I'm kind of maybe this is just I look at the volume and everybody has their favorite pet stock, their story in the back of their mind, and maybe this is one of his story stocks that he thought might just take off as a lottery ticket and help him out, but doesn't seem like it's doing much.
no, and so I see some questions in chat here I'm keeping an eye on. So the easiest way to take a look at what people are trading right now is, again, you knew this in the downloaded version, but you can also go to the web version. And if you just go to trade-ideas.com, let's just take people to the main site and show them that. and just click on either my trade ideas up here or catch the big winner. It'll bring you to our new web dashboard, and this is a lot of what we're doing within Trade Ideas, and a lot of as we're kind of pushing things to the web. You can see Portfolio Master Challenge right here on the side. So I click on that, and it shows these are the names that people are trading. We got some people trading DYN, SURP, or SUGP. We can see that there as well. You can search, and these are being pulled from the list of our winners. So you can see everything that our winners are playing. Now, the individual trades, we don't have that available yet. Me and Steve are looking kind of a little bit under the hood for that. But the general idea of what people are trading, you can see right here, which is, again, one of the things that I think we kind of invented by accident, where it's not only showing you, it's a social, I guess, scanner. And we do a lot of scanning in a lot of different ways at Trade Ideas, but this one's more just, hey, let's take people who are objectively and provably making money in the stock market because we're looking into their simulated trading platform, and let's just pool all these things together and put them out there. And again, it's something that I'm using a lot more in my scanning, and I don't even think we really were planning on doing that. We just kind of stumbled upon it.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate crowdsource again, just to kind of see what other people are trading and turn that into a scan and an actual tool. But as you mentioned, this is really our third time at this, and this is our first broadcast. But we are looking to try and increase the user experience watching these by, as you said, maybe showing us what the leaders are in, getting some notifications. He just sold, he just doubled down, she just went ahead, things like that. So that's what people are going to want to do. They're going to want to go, that's cool, but what's he trading? What's he in? How's he doing that? And that's going to
Yeah.
be so much more of a rich experience coming soon over the next couple months to our next, contest.
Yeah, and there's tons of different ways to skin the cat. There's a bunch of different ways to try to figure out what it is that you're trading. But for me, this is a big one just because I don't need to guess or make my own scanner. I just need to look at it and say, hey, this is what people are looking at right now, and you're gonna find stuff that's moving. Now, so another question on just how are people finding these? Well, that's kind of what we do at Trade Ideas is we have many different ways and many different styles, and we're not going to go over all of them because we want to keep a close eye on the leaderboard. But what we do a lot is we visualize data in the stock market for this is what's going up at this time. This is what has, exciting volume. This is what's moving. This is what's gapping. And that's what people are using to make these kind of returns in their simulated account. Where, I just simply went to our main page again, and you're going to see everything that's up the most from the close, everything that's moving in the last 30 minutes, like DYN, which is something I had on my watch list, but unfortunately didn't buy, making a massive push here. And then we like to sprinkle that with data for people who like certain things. So, for example, if I go into DYN here, this is why I had it on my watch list, right in this area right here, 16, which I'm going to be kicking myself about, but with 31% short float. So you can go through these things and you can read a little bit about the company and know, hey, for whatever reason, people have been betting heavily against this name. And today, people were proven wrong on this one. So it could be a reversal here. So this is what we're finding a lot of. And again, this is one of the many, many uses of Trade Ideas. There's just not enough time in the stream to go over all of them. And John's asking about the challenge. So the $7, that's essentially for this challenge. We're going to be doing a challenge a month. Now, if you are a premium Trade Ideas subscriber, you don't need to pay anything. You are in every single one of the challenges. You have the software to use when there's no challenges going on. And then you have the ability, you are automatically entered, I should say, into every single challenge that takes place. So, come give us a shot. You can see, let me go back to this screen, but you can see that we have a 25% off discount. If you go to tradeideas.com and you sign up for that there, again, you can get your 25% off an entire year of Trade Ideas Premium, and then you get entered into all of these challenges right away. So if this is something that interests you at all,
Qualify.
I'd definitely check that out.
The 25% promo, what we also do is you don't have to use it for the full year. The wise thing to do is to try it for a month, and that way we will hold that spot for you. If you want to go rather than back to month, you can use that promo code and go for the entire year. So literally, you get like 13 months on that promo code. So 1 month to try it, kick the tires, and we'll honor it for 30 days. Another thought is that the reason there is a charge, you have to remember that this is live data, and live
Hmm.
data isn't free. We're audited by the New York Stock Exchange, which is the judge, jury, and executioner if we blow it. So we have to collect names. And I understand the exchange agreements for the people who do participate in these probably are not the most ideal thing to have to go through, but it protects you, it protects us, and it's just keeps everything clean. And lastly, I was going to say we have had test drives in the past for like $11 or $12, and those would go for 2 weeks. But we're going to be doing these a lot more. And the idea is for people to kind of incorporate this into more frequent test drives. We want you to come in and trade. We want you to be in the challenge, but you still have access to the entire platform, and you can come in and just kind of slowly get acclimated. Maybe you're somebody who's kind of thinking about doing this down the road. This is a great way to come in and just kind of get some practice reps, kind of like an army reservist on the weekends until you're called up to duty.
100% agree. And, if you watch any documentary about anyone who plays a professional sport or anything like that, it is very much practice, 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 and then play for a little bit. And that's what we're doing as well. Again, whether you are a new trader and you need the practice, please, if you're a new trader, paper trade before you trade live. Why risk your money when you can risk our fake money? And if you do well, we'll pay you for it. That seems like the best of both worlds. Or as I mentioned, talking to some of the winners we've had of these competitions, they were just trying completely different strategies. They had strategies that worked, and that's what they were doing to trade their own account. But because it's a contest, they're like, we can go a little bit wild with this, right? I can try something that maybe I wouldn't normally try. I can take a swing here or a short there that I may not normally do. So again, I paper trade still. I've been trading since 2006. And if I'm going to bring a new strategy live, you better believe I'm going to risk Trade Ideas fake money before I risk my own, before I think it deserves a place in my repertoire, right? So definitely, again, come check it out. And you get everything you're seeing here, plus a whole lot more. That if you come back to this YouTube channel tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Monday, there'll be a live trading room here, and you can see more of what everything has to do. Now, since we've been chatting a bit, I've noticed two things. So we have RVSN, and this is what Tran right here is in for all 180,000. Seems to be holding this prior high that happened 2 days ago, this little bit of high that happened yesterday, and then the support from this morning. So a big level here around 950, give or take. So a little bit of an inch up on the portfolio right there. And then Paul was in, refresh my memory, Steve. What was Paul trading? I can go here and check. Was it
ETFR.
ETFR? ETFR. EFTR. Dyslexia. There we go. Yeah, and this one's pulled back a little bit. So could be narrowing the gap. And we can't forget Lewis here, or Luis, still holding a sizable position with a $103,000 open profit. Essentially, everything that was made the entire time has a closed profit of $600 and an open profit of $103,000. And that is in
RVSN.
our VSN.
Hmm.
Okay. So what's interesting is you notice, and I've noticed watching these, and I'm sure you have as well, Steve, that there's always that maybe five stocks every single day that are really, really interesting. You rarely see a Netflix or Nvidia or anything like this where it's the boring stock of the day. You rarely see that. You generally see now, Nvidia reports earnings or server farm blows up or something like that. You guarantee you're going to see it. But rarely you're seeing that. You're seeing whatever is getting pushed around right now. So this RSVN seems to be something that people are really interested in and trading a lot of. I just wonder if it will have the kind of push here in order to give that last little bit for these two. And what will be interesting is if Luis and Tran are in the same stock. I think Luis needs to change it up, doesn't they? Because if they're both in, yeah, they're both in the same thing. So if it
Yeah, you're never going to
rips,
catch them.
yeah, you're never going to catch them with that. You're going to have to find something else going on.
So this is a great case scenario where a golfer is looking at the leaderboard and he's got 3 holes left and he's got to make up 2 shots. And so that changes his outlook.
Hmm.
If we had, and we will, I'm not trying to tease, but it would be nice to have, and it's coming, the ability for not only us and the visitors or the viewers, but the participants to look at the leaderboard and say, what is this guy in? Oh no, we're in the same thing. I got to mix it up. I got 35 minutes. What do I do? You're running out of time here. So that's another interesting concept for having the leaderboard drill down into each competitor and see how much they're in, what they're in, things like that.
Yeah, and again, I more and more want to see what everyone's trading just because, as I mentioned, this is an amazing scanning tool that we've made where, every other scanning tool in the world, they can say, this stock is moving or that stock had a moving average cross or this is breaking VWAP and everyone in the world can do that, but seems like something very unique that we built that says, okay, not only are we able to do that, but we're able to go into this contest and pull the winners. Again, we're no one cares. There's a lot of people in this contest, let's just say, and a lot of people are down a lot of money in this contest. No offense to them, right? We all have had bad times, but I don't really care what you're buying, right? I care about what these top 3 or 4 people, maybe even the top 10 people are buying. So we need to really focus on what's going on there as opposed to focus what's going on anywhere else. Because again, this social aspect of buy the stuff that's working, and, ignore the stuff that's boring, I think makes a lot of sense.
Hey, I'm up $4,000. I'm in the green, so I'm getting a return of 0.02%. At least I'm not red. But you know what? In
Well,
all seriousness, I'm just a placeholder. I wasn't. I was been very busy trying to help people and get things going, but I just wanted to at least throw a couple items out there.
Well, we can't. We're not allowed to win anyway, right?
No,
So we do a lot of stuff for fun, but and for testing, but it's not really something that we're focused on. But I did notice that our VSN has actually popped up. So we noted this level, and this is what I love about looking at
mm.
this leaderboard, right? We were looking at the winner, we identified an area. If I was taking trades right now, I would be interested. We talked about this very clear level that we have here. It seemed like a pretty good trade. We had a 15-minute bottoming tail below that level. And just look at it and say, hey, if there's these smart people who are making great returns on their account, if they're interested, they probably looked at all the fundamental junk that I don't care about, and they're buying it. Well, then maybe it's a little interesting. So actually, let's. Um, I'm gonna. I don't want to. I know I'm not going to win by doing it, but let's just show people how our system can work. So I have this set up to the simulator right now. This also can be easily set up to a live account through Interactive Brokers, through E-Trade, through Alpaca. You can do the same thing, but I'm just going to click the buy button and I'm going to put a little simulated buy here. Let's make it 10.11 because you see we came up to 10.10 there and then we pulled off. So now, just like that, I have a buy order in a simulated account. Could be a real money account as well. If this turns around and breaks through that price, it'll buy me some. Again, I don't need to know what's going on in the stock because I had a lot of these people do my research for me. All I see is that this thing has just been an absolute dynamo. And as we've seen with a lot of these names, these can go crazy when they go. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one, see if it gets back through that area, because that is the only way that Tran here stands a chance. Half hour to go of breaking through that level.
I just took a peek at both of them, and they're literally just they're almost the same position size. So it would behoove the guy in third place to look up and be able to see, but he doesn't know. He doesn't have the information that we have. We're kind of being Machiavellian here.
But you think you would be watching the leaderboard and you'd see every time your P&L ticks up that the guy right in front of you P&L ticks up, right? And every time your P&L ticks down, the guy right below you's P&L ticks down as well. I would think personally that's something that I would pay attention to. Because and I've noticed again, I've interviewed the last two winners and people are watching this account because or the leaderboard because they know. I remember Lazar, who won our last one, was saying that he was watching really really closely because he was leading and he had a pretty good margin, just like Paul has here. But you'd notice people nipping at your heels, and you'd say, okay, well, I've got to find something. I got to stay on my toe and have a trade ready to go, just in case somebody ticks up, right? And I've got to take that trade. But because we are seeing Paul with this loss, and that was that EFRT, and so if that starts to move down, then got to go back to that one. See what's going on here. Just to see if he's still in it. Yeah, EFTR. And still in it. So still holding that same trade. No new trades coming in. So it looks like everyone is taking their bets and they're just waiting for the end of the day to see what's happening. What's going on with the overall market here? Because that may dictate things. Again, this is a long only challenge. So if we do have some sort of end of day sell off, which it looks like we're coiling down a little bit here, it will be interesting to see, will that pull back that EFRT that's more calm today? Will that, if the market kind of tanks here, will that affect that more than this high flyer with a lot of momentum that everyone's trading?
I'm trying to think of a good way that we could ask the guy that was leading all the way into the final hour if you want to be interviewed and discuss, what he was thinking and what happened. But who knows? Maybe he wouldn't want to fess up to that. But it's a great analogy. Again, I'm going to go back to the golf analogy. I've seen people. It's a mental game, and if you play golf, you'll know what I'm talking about. Most of the success in golf is between your ears. You know how to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You've done it a few times. You know how to make a good trade. You've done it a few times. But then you get emotional. You break your rules, and you lose focus. And there's all sorts of reasons. But um, using golf as an analogy is it's it's it, I've seen tournaments where the guy's leading all 3 nights, and then he wakes up on Sunday morning and he's leading the Masters, and something happens, and he just falls apart. And it's very similar, to kind of what we just saw here. It's
Yeah.
very similar.
I actually just went to look him up in the leaderboard, and again was winning by being up over $300,000. So if he just traded small, if he had reduced his position size, if he had just stopped at that point, still would have been winning this competition. Still holding on to this position, currently with a $300,000 net loss on this position. So yeah, you're right. It just shows, and this is a great lesson that whether it's a contest, and we've all done this, not to this extent, hopefully, but we've all done this where we've had a really good, for me, a trading day, right? You're hitting it on the open. You take a couple great trades off the open. Maybe you're at your P&L target for the day. Maybe you're a little bit above it. And then you take one small loss and you go, oh, well, if I can just get back, say I was up $1,000 on the day and I take a $200 hit. Now I'm only up $800 on the day. And I go, hey, if I can just make a $200 trade and get back to that high watermark I was at, then that's great, and I'll stop for the day. But then that next trade's a hit. Now you're only up $500 a day, and then eventually you end up down on that day. And I think it was that same mentality of trading well, winning the contest, doing everything great, taking a small hit, and then letting that small hit get a little bit big, and then letting that spiral all the way down, which gave Paul just a amazing opening here in order to take the lead. I do see a message here. When is the next PMC? So our game plan, we don't have a date scheduled right now, but our game plan for these, we're going to do each of them every single month. So once a month, we're going to do a PMC challenge. We're going to bring in everybody. And again, if you're a premium member, you'll be automatically signed up. If not, make sure you go to trade-ideas.com, sign up for our email list there, and we will email you when the next one's happening, and you can get involved. All of the contests, again, these are real money contests, so we are paying the winners a $2,400 Amazon gift card on this. So not only is it fun, you have a chance to learn to trade, and while you're learning to trade, make money from it, which is just amazing. Then the game plan is, as these goes on, just pay attention. We're going to change up the rules every time because we're learning ourselves. This is a new thing for us. So as we are learning and as we are growing, we're going to change up the rules. There may be group contests. We may bring back people who have won previous contests for like an all-star event. There's all kinds of cool stuff we're floating around internally that I think will really help. So sometime in February is all I can say, probably near the end of February, but we don't exactly know yet.
I replied to somebody's comment that they are correct. There seems to be a few people up there that haven't met the 10 minimum trade requirement, so
Mm-hmm.
they would be DQ'd. And I hope people hear this and take it to heart because that's the case. Half of the battle is reading the rules.
Yep.
You got to read them all of them.
Which it would be a crying shame to go all this way and to beat, I can't remember how many in it, but a few hundred people and be the best trader of all those people. And then at the end of it, just get an email and say, sorry, you know, you got real close, you did real well, but you didn't meet the minimum trade requirement. The reason we do that is we don't want somebody buying a just $1 stock and then riding it up to $2, $3 and closing out the position and walk away. Because what we're trying to do, so we have ulterior motives for this contest. We got the social scanning, which I think is great. We're having a lot of fun doing it, which is fantastic. But we are a software as a service company. So what we want from our traders is for you guys to make money. It doesn't help us at all in any way, shape, or form if somebody comes and buys trade ideas and we train them on how to use the software and then they don't do well and they stop trading. That doesn't help us, right? We end up probably losing money off the support and everything we give. So what we want is people who have taken the time and they've paper traded and they've learned a trading style and they trade it correctly. What we also know, and I'm sure Steve will agree with me on this, that paper trading is kind of boring. So it's like, how can we get people to paper trade, to learn to trade in a safe environment, to make all the mistakes with fake money, and when they feel comfortable trading real money, we know they're going to be around as clients for a while. So that's what we want to get out of this. So we don't want people YOLOing one stock and making a whole bunch of money off it. We want people learning to trade. And if you look at Paul, for example, that doesn't mean 16 trades. That actually means he's traded 16 individual symbols throughout the challenge. So whatever he's doing has to be working en masse. It wasn't just a YOLO trade that worked out really well for him. It was a series of trades. And that's what we're trying to get people to do. So then hopefully you guys, again, have all the bad problems when it's fake money. And then when it's real money, you've got a system down and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong, and I'm happy to see somebody who was it? Shivam, you would greatly appreciate every month is going to be awesome. This is just the beginning of a whole new paradigm, really, for trade ideas. We're
Yep.
moving out of the real-time scanner, as we've always differentiated ourselves from other screeners out there. We won't name names, but we always liken our product is like a police scanner. In the old days, you could just sit down and just monitor the channels, and something would come at you in real time. Whereas our competition, I can't even call it that, but other platforms out there, you've got to enter your filters, and then you've got to submit, and then you get an output and then that output is static until your next input output. So we are a scanner, and we're taking it to the next level in the simulated trading, which we've been offering obviously for a couple of years. But now we're, really tying it all together with the message of simulating trading practice reps are important. You're welcome to come into this business. Even if you were so smart and you built other businesses, you're welcome to come in and try your hand and learn real quick that this is like no other business you've ever encountered. There's a lot of contradictions and counterintuitive things that you need to learn. But by all means, you're welcome to touch the hot stove and lose thousands of dollars trading live. But we recommend, if you want to listen to hundreds of years of wisdom around here of traders, cumulative, spend your time on the practice range. To go back to the golf analogy, use our simulated trader, use our competition to kind of create some excitement. And all you can do is each month come away learning something a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think I ever met a trader, and both me and Steve are the same, that we learned to trade in a prop firm, right? With risk managers and with people who would yell at you, and we'd have other people sitting around us saying, "Hey, don't blow up." But Steve's right. There is absolutely nothing stopping you any single day of doing what we saw from our leader there, taking one stock, holding it all the way down, and blowing up your account. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that people understand this. And hey, if you blow up an account and it's fake money, you go, "Oh, that sucks." I was having fun in the competition. I wanted to play longer, but you're not. That hurts way less than blowing up real money. So you can you can take all the bumps and the bruises with a fake type of account, and then learn that, write it down, write a journal, have your plan together, find whatever scan it is in trade ideas that you use to find the winners. And then when it's time to go live, then that's great. And then come back to the challenge, because, as I mentioned before, a lot of people, they'll have a strategy and that strategy will work for them and they'll trade that with their real money. But then in the back of their head, they're always saying, well, we all know that not every strategy works all the time. So sometimes it makes sense to develop two or three different strategies. So maybe go back and develop a different strategy and say, okay, I'm going to trade this one here as well. So you can come back to the challenge and you can trade that other strategy with fake money and see if that works for you. And if it's a good strategy, you add it to your real money account. Real traders do this, going from test accounts to live accounts and back and forth all the time. We do see, like, everyone's kind of made their bet, and they're living with it here. Eh, Steve? I haven't seen a single new trade come through in a while. We have some.
No, and just to carry on of what you were speaking about on the strategies and trying new strategies and implementing things, we have a new product, the Anchored VWAP. So, as if you may have heard, Brian Shannon wrote a great book on Anchored VWAP, and we've embraced it. Brian worked with him, and we have built the Anchored VWAP channel. And so, say you're somebody who, and I know Brian mentioned to his group that he was going to, dabble in a few trades, and the Anchored VWAP portal is being opened by Michael right now, and it's
Mhm.
available to everyone. So, if you read the book, which you should,
Yes.
there's 3 or 4 interesting strategies in there. Pull back to IPO Anchored VWAP, VWAP pinches. I've actually used those for some trade of the weeks. And so this is a perfect 1-2 punch where you've got the book, you've got the setups, you don't have an account, but you've got a sim account, and you can come in here once a month and start playing some of these strategies. What works best? The failed breakout, I'm sorry, the anchored VWAP breakouts
Hmm.
pitch, or pull back to IPO, or pull back to year to date. Just a simple bottom spike in a stock, a reversal and moving higher. You can anchor that 2 months prior, and you can still use that data as a solid indicator, as an area of interest, is what Brian likes to call them.
And this is my personal favorite from this one, is the anchored VWAP from the large gap. So what happens here, the reason it makes the most sense to me is because there was some sort of news event here. It was probably earnings on Planet Fitness, right? Some big event took place that a bunch of fundamental people care about. I'm not one that cares about fundamentals, but something occurred. We had a massive gap here, and then this huge run. Right? I'm not going to chase this after this gap and run, but I'm interested if we can get some sort of pullback. And now we see this pretty big pullback on Planet Fitness. And you can notice that not only did the system find this for me, you saw me click through 3 or 4 symbols to find this, but each time I was clicking through, it was drawing the anchored VWAP for me. So I don't need to figure out where to draw these things from. The system just takes care of that for me. And now I look at this pullback on Planet Fitness, and we are hanging out right at that anchored VWAP low. So I'm actually going to keep an eye on this one, and I'm going to do so by just right clicking, and I'm going to add a price alert here. So it will tell me on Monday if this bounces off this level. Because as somebody who likes to buy pullbacks and uptrends, that's what I see here. This is a nice uptrending stock from $45 all the way to 75, and it looks like we're having a little bit of pullback. This might be a zone in which to take a shot. And yeah, as Steve was saying, if you're interested in that, if that synopsis for a trade made sense to you, but you don't want to just take it with your real money because you just heard me talk about this 2 seconds ago, load up your simulator, punch in 1,000 shares on this. It will either work for you or it won't, and then you'll make a note and you'll say, hey, is this something that I'm interested in? Can I record that trade in a Google Doc or something? And then if I make 3 or 4 of these and more of them work than don't, and it seems like something that makes sense to you, well, maybe now you have a strategy that you take over to your real money account.
Have we demonstrated yet what the order entry panel looks like? People who haven't been taking this contest, what they're going to be looking at and what they're going to be interacting with?
Yeah, so let me bring Brokerage Plus up here. So I took a little bit off the chart and I showed that I still have that resting order up here in case this RVSN reverses, because I do like the look of that one. And I was going to take a little trade here into the end of the day. But this is our Brokerage Plus module. So the beauty of this, what a day I had on my simulated account, up $110,000 right here. Still haven't made it to the leaderboard, but the beauty of this and what we're really trying to get going with this is if you learn this panel, if you learn the way to place trades here via the sim, then you go to something like E-Trade or Interactive Brokers. All you have to do is change this toggle right here. Right now, you can see I'm connected to the simulate trading account. I can just say, hey, I want to connect to IB or I want to connect to E-Trade, just like that. Super, super easy as things go. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually load up a trade. So this panel on the bottom has everything that we need to see here. You can pick your ticker. Now you see RVSN was already populated. That's because when I typed it in my chart, it automatically typed it in my order entry, which makes a lot of sense. I can select whether I'm buying or selling. Let's actually just buy some of this. You type in how many shares you want. Let's just do 100 shares for now. But you can also do dollar amount, right? Say you have a $100,000 account, you want to put 10K into each trade, and you don't want to have to mess with doing that math yourself. You can just say, hey, I want to buy $10,000 worth. It will give you, this is the bid and the ask. We got a bid of 942, an ask of 945, and then you pick which account you want it to go to. So say you're connected to the sim account and you're connected to your live account. They'll both be listed here, and you can just decide which trade you want to go through. I'm actually going to buy this for the Go Low challenge right now. Then we have all of the other stuff you can add, how you want to enter, whether it's a market or a limit, all that kind of stuff. Then you just hit send at the end of the day. And you can see now I'm long 1,000 shares for my $10,000 worth of RVSN. If I go right here in the chart, you can see a little buy flag has occurred. So it says, hey, this is where you're going to buy. If I had a stop loss order out, you just drag them and move them on the chart. So as hopefully this moves higher, I'll just be able to drag up a stop loss. It will calculate the risk on all of that and do all that for you. But it's a good idea to get familiar with this if you're even planning on doing the next challenge. I would sign up using the Trade Ideas discount code that we have now for 25% off, and then play with it, right? Learn a little bit about it to make sure that you're able to understand how to place the trade so that when the next time we go live, you're ready to go on day one.
A good button to get familiar with what is the half sell half button.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend if you're finding yourself in a really good position and you're in the top 5 or 10 and you're making good trades, you're probably wise to hit that half button on the next new high that blasts that candle higher, because you've got to pay yourself. You've got to put that money on the grid. Open trades don't count. So,
Yeah.
use that half button early and often, not early, but, often get familiar with it. It's a real simple way than fumbling around and entering prices. You see it rip, great, but half, you're out.
Yeah, and as you were saying, you can't feed yourself with unrealized gains. At the end of the day, if you're going to be trading to make money, you gotta hit the button to get out. And this is a great way to go about doing this, where you can hit half. You can also do the opposite, right? Say you bought a little bit as a feeder, and now it's setting up again and you want to take some more, you can hit the double. So if I hit the double right there, you'll see now my position is doubled, so now I'm about two or $20,000 or so in this stock as well, as a way to get in. Then we have the old flatten button, and I love this one because if you highlight multiple positions and you hit that flatten button, it will sell you out of everything you have, and it will cancel all of the orders. So, say I had a stop loss order out for RVSN and something crazy is going on with it, and I want out. I can highlight, I can hit flatten, it will remove the position, cancel the order, and I can move on with my days. That for me is a good holy crap button. Maybe you forgot there's an FOMC announcement, or something like that is going on. You can hit that button, you can get out of everything, reassess whether or not this is something you want to still be trading today, and get back in if you want. But just the ability to clear the decks and move on, I think that makes perfect sense, and it's a button I use all the time.
There's a really good comment from our friend Trader77, I think it was. And I like it. And I think we should maybe embrace it. And that is, let's give a trophy to the biggest loser. What happens if you try to lose the most? What's going to happen? Are you going to win? Are you going to surprise yourself? But kind of a funny little, parting gift, funny trophy, whatever you want to call it, for the one who was able to lose the most.
What do they call that? There's something like that in movies, isn't it? The Razzies or something, where
Razzies, yeah,
yeah,
tomato, Razzies, whatever.
yeah, this is
But
this is the
my
worst.
prediction is that people who think that they're going to lose money will probably wind up making money.
I'd bet that too, where you're gonna have a whole bunch of people who are doing the opposite of what they normally do, probably doing pretty well, and then have a come to Jesus moment later. A buddy of mine, I remember when I was at the prop firm, he would always, if he had a really bad week on Friday, he would do his what he called his Costanza trade, where he would look at the chart, and if it immediately looked bullish to him, he'd short it. And if it looked bearish to him, he'd buy it. And not something I'd recommend doing for the long term. But yeah, a way to say, hey, if what I'm doing is not working, maybe I should just do the opposite, and maybe that will end up working out for me.
Yeah,
One
really.
question on the chart and scrolling vertically. Right now, you just hit Control and then scroll in and out on your scroll wheel, and that's kind of the best way to take care of that. No way to shrink it down. It's a fixed border on the top if that's what you're looking for. So, is there a delay in executions? No. So everything's sent exactly in real time. Whether or not you get filled at the level that you're seeing will have to do with obviously liquidity of the stock and all of that. But everything we're doing is real time data and a real time focus. So make sure that you're understanding the liquidity of the instrument you're trading. If you're not getting the fills you want, that is, especially for day trading, that is a hugely important. Understanding bid ask spread, understanding how many trades are going through, that type of thing as well.
It's a good point to bring up because pre-market, a lot of people get confused, especially new traders, that you cannot send a market order in pre-market. And that's by design for your protection. So when you say sometimes the fill might take a while to get because you're bidding at something that's a wide spread in pre-market and you're bidding 10 cents below the last 7, 8 prints. My suggestion to you is if you really want to get in this stock pre-market and you want the simulator to execute you, you can't just sit there and hope you're going to get a fantasy fill. It's
Yeah.
designed with logic. So what I would do is look at what the last print is, go ahead and send a limit order at that price, and you're probably going to get that price. The simulator will probably serve you that price because is already on the tape, it's already traded, it's in the algorithm. But if you're going to sit below and wait and wonder why you're not getting a fill in the simulation world, that's by design.
And it all depends. You got to look at what you're trading pre-market too, because even some of the Apples and Nvidias and all that stuff out there won't uh, won't actually do what you need them to do because they're just not moving enough, right? So you need to make sure that if you are trading in the pre-market, which is generally before a lot of large institutions will start to get involved in the market, it's going to be mostly other retail participants. So you need to make sure that you're trading something that actually has that liquidity that makes sense. And it looks like, did we just see? Let me take a look. It looks like we may have seen Tran there take a position or average in more into their current position. Yeah, buying more RVSN right here, and I just noticed because they closed down that profit, right? So they closed down that RVSN position when it was right here, and then reopened it just another couple seconds ago at 971. So right at the price right here. So maybe heard us, maybe is lurking in the chat somewhere and said you gotta go big if you're gonna make it. But I hope they
Well,
also heard us that they've only done
I got
five
to
out of the
say,
10 trades.
Tran is about 5 trades short of making our life difficult. So let's just get this bell rung.
And you got
Good question from David on the. Let me just reread the question regarding those buttons again. The market order is a flattened function,
yep.
so that's not going to work for you in pre-market. So those buttons will not work in pre-market. You've got to use limit orders and fumble around with prices pre and post-market. During the market, those are just quite simple smart orders. You hit it, it's a market order. That's the correct assumption, David.
And it's important to note that just want to make it clear that's just not our simulator, and that's just not even your broker. That's on an exchange level. So if you're on in the pre-market, the exchange will not accept market orders, and that's because there are no market makers at that time. So it is to save the retail people where people who don't understand things like bid ask spreads are going to have a hard time in which if they have that spread, say some stocks that aren't trading at all in the pre-market could be a $10 stock with a 30-40% spread. If you hit a market order, you're going to pay up 40% from what the stock is worth. And then if you got to sell again, you've just lost 80% of your money in and out. So again, we designed it like this because that's how it works in the real world. So we want to make sure that things are matching up with the real and the fake world. And as we are here, again, we see
Looks like
Tran. Oh,
looks like we have a number. No, we have a number. Paul has exited his trades. He has stamped his number at 192,405.
yeah, that is the
So
number to beat. And if Tran beats it, sorry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Looks like he may have got sucked into a little bit of a false rally there. It popped up again. He is long from 971. We pulled all the way back to 961 twice now. This is why you guys saw me put out that number. I said, hey, I'm going to put it a little bit above this last candle because it ran right up there and then sold off. So I wanted to see it break that candle by a little bit in order to push higher. Makes me think that there's some institution or some fund out there who's saying, hey, I got to get out of this position by the end of the day. So I think that may, with only 2 minutes left to go, barring some sort of insane miracle, I think that's probably going to stamp the winner here.
I'm going to venture to guess that he saw that spike and he actually did buy more shares in RVSN. So he just went all in at the last second, chased that green candle. Another good got out the way you want it to be.
Yeah, with 1 minute left to go, this is reversing. I don't see anyone on the list who has anything that could potentially make it. What's happening here to the S&P 500? Sometimes these last 10 minutes can be a little bit wild. Doesn't look like that's happening today because you have all these option rebalances, but I don't see anything that could get anyone going here. That trade, you're right, that last trade from Tran looks like it's going to be a loser. And it looks like Paul did just that. He probably took a look at the leaderboard and said, "Hey, I'm up 70K on anyone else." Oh, what's Lewis doing there with 1 minute left to go? Do you see that? Just popped up 72 grand. I gotta bring this up.
He's out of it now. He booked it, whatever it was. He's got 10 seconds up. Market closed.
Oh, I do want to see what that last trade was before we went though. Made a big, big attempt here right at the last second. Oh, and then came back down. Probably, yeah, something with a wide spread that probably showed a big P&L bump, but that big P&L bump actually didn't happen. So it looks like we have a winner, and it looks like that winner's Paul. I'm actually going to go through a couple of those trades. And again, if you're interested at all, we're going to be doing this kind of stuff every month. We're going to be doing more of these streams, so make sure you sign up for the email list and pay attention to those. We're going to be streaming them on Twitter and uh, Kick and everywhere else that can take us as well. But a lot of trades here from Paul, and I want to go back to a couple. Yeah, a lot of these ones were just in and outs. So it seemed like he was very much a trader who was picking his shot, either making money or not really quickly. NUKK, it's one that I want to highlight. And not trading the high flyer that everyone else was. Looks like he's trading gaps after they occur. I just went through a couple of these positions, and NUKK, he was trading on this day right here, took a small hit on, moved on with his life. So very much, I think, we call this, second or third day plays. You're looking for the initial move to happen. You're looking to let that calm down and then take it a few days after it's occurred, and worked out for him. So our winner with 192,000, roughly a 50% gain in 3 days.
Wow, I'm just really impressed that the winner had such a nice basket of different names. Really, really solid performance. And so I'm really looking forward. Hopefully, he'll sit down with you and you have some great questions to offer him.
Yes, that's one thing I wanted to talk to everyone about. Again, if you're new to this channel, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're signing up to the email list, because we reach out to all the winners. We've done it twice so far. You can see those over on the channel that you're on right now. And we ask them all these questions. Hey, what scanner did you use to find these symbols on? What was your trading strategy? Did you learn anything from this competition? And always get really, really interesting feedback, because the thing that I love about trading and the thing that I love about what we're doing here is we're bringing in people from all different trading backgrounds. I see mostly day trades right here, but a couple ones, I think one or two that was held overnight. So it'll be interesting to know when they swing and why, and when they day trade and why. A lot of really, really good trades, really interesting trading ideas. And hey, listen, thanks everyone for coming by. Do you have any closing
Well, hey,
thoughts,
hold
Stephen?
on, Michael. Let me
Yeah.
one more thought is the one of the contestants is in there. Lewis, he's talking about how he just
Oh,
flattened his own position. Congratulations to Paul. What a classy second place.
oh, that's great. I love that. Comes in with a little sportsmanship. Now, listen, Lewis, stay tuned to your emails. I would love to, if you're interested, interview you as well, because we were watching. I don't know if you were watching us, but me and Steve were here the whole time in the last hour. We saw some really good attempts. And obviously, still an amazing 25% gain in 3 days. I imagine our audience would absolutely love to see more of what you did and how you did it. So definitely stay tuned to
And,
your emails.
and more importantly, Lewis is really the second place finisher because he had the requisite 10 plus trades.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, so stay tuned for your emails. If you wanna come on and chat, certainly we'll do that. We won't make it live, so we're not going to pressure you too much. And yeah, again, just a great competition for everyone. Congrats, Paul. Someone says they're 29th place. Hey, I'll go look later at how many people were in the competition, but 29th place was actually still a really good showing. We just so you know, eventually we're gonna have your own account right here as well, showing that hey, this is what you were in comparison to everyone else. Because yeah, don't buck your head at 29th, right? That's still a really good really good showing in a competition like this, with
I,
a lot of powerhouse winners.
I would just end with this. If you do come in here, if you're able to get yourself green after 10 trades on a simulator, you're doing pretty good.
That's what most people, what most people are looking for, right? You don't have to be, and you probably don't want to be making 25% every 3 days, because it probably means you're risking a whole lot of money. If you ended 3 days green playing in that simulator, then yeah, that's definitely something that you should pat yourself on the back and say good on me. And yeah, we love to have you. We love to see you back, and thanks everyone for coming by.